Hello my dear friends, we're back with another behind the scenes on episode 2 of Clever Little Engine, Tight Schedule. If you haven't seen the episode, then you probably shouldn't be here, but you're welcome anyway. Quite a few different elements were cobbled together to make this one, so let's have a look at how it all came to be. I wanted to capture what would be a typical running day on the Skarloey. So naturally the inspiration was a typical working on the Talus Lyn. Apart from the crash, and the stranded train, and even the T-van existing, I suppose, it is just a mundane day on the timetable where 2 or 3 trains are running. It's a cause for things to seem routine. Ivo thinks he can beat the system, and starts messing around with the schedule, leading to a crescendo where everything goes horribly wrong. Who better to kick and then boost his ego than the lord of things being done his way, Sir Handel. I deliberately didn't include Sir Handel in the first episode at all, just like season 5. Not only did it make it seem like he was away in the workshops or something, but made it all the more impactful when he took centre stage here. I didn't want to write him just being pompous though, we see enough of that, so we do get a glimpse of him sticking up for Peter Sam.
Only I get to bully him.
The two of them have been through tough times together. It's a love-to-hate friendship.
I've known you how long and you're still asking me these silly questions? Grow up!
The concept of the refreshment lady accidentally getting locked in the T-van was an idea suggested by Express Rhubarb. It added another layer of chaos when all hell had already broken loose. Way back in 2016, I cast Half-Baked Hex 8 as Sir Handel, and to this day he gives the character so much life. I'm beginning to think he might actually be Sir Hayden IRL. Maybe he's not even real. A good portion of Sir Handel's dialogue isn't from the script, but the ad-lib makes it all so much funnier.
Honestly, you just can't get the stuff these days.
It's another fun-filled blooper reel, to say the least. As a one-off casting, many of you have noticed that the unlucky Tug kindly joined, to play a passenger who gets married. Which by no coincidence he did in real life recently. Congrats Nick, and thanks for taking part. This is my very quick representation of Krosny Kurin Station. So this is not like my canonical depiction of the station. It really should have its own scratch-built buildings and things. You're only going to really see this one view. The people of Krosny Kurin are known for littering, so recycling Renea Station, but the other side of the platform because you don't really see it. There were some specific models needed for this episode. The refreshment lady was a simple repaint of a generic 00 figure, but her coach took a completely different approach. Firstly, if going by TR history, then I know it would be impossible to have these 3 coaches all coexisting, because they are the same vehicle. But I hate to break it to you, but the Skarloey Railway isn't real, so shush. I had 2 old coach prints to use, rather than basing it on the real-life counterpart, and I liked the idea of there being one big serving hatch like the TV series T-van. But I despise the colour choice. I could have gone for an all-blue, but to go with the 2 TV series open coaches I've got, I opted for a green and cream scheme instead. I don't have an explanation for why the T-van is taken up to the top station at all. Maybe the cafe's under refurbishment? Really, it's something that's probably dropped off at one of the more quieter stations. I don't know. Paving the way was nearly, as the Bluey 2 calls it, a bottleneck episode, where everything takes place in one location. So this story was the first chance to see the middle bit of the Skarloey line. For that we needed the viaduct, which was sculpted out of a foam board base and a clay brick texture. It's a mix match of Dolgok Viaduct and the TV show ones. Not ridiculously tall like the season 4 one, and with one extra arch to make it a believable but grand structure. Renea Station is quite clearly a copy of Dolgok Station, but that's what it is in the books, so I had to recreate that iconic look here. I've taken progress photos of all of the models Scratch built for this, so keep an eye out for videos showing how they were made. Rolling stock, buildings and all.
So now for a set that I think I've made before, kind of, a sort of generic passing loop, but this time it's got a name. This is Quarry Junction, not Quarry Siding on the Talus Linn. I've got all of the hills out for this from the Ferrymount layout, which has come very, very handy. You know, they're sort of like in the upper parts of the Skarloey now, so it's as many hills as I can possibly manage. A lot more sort of slate in this area, whereas further up the line I've sort of used like the white stone just to change it up. And I'm pretty sure the whole Thomas fandom would be absolutely in ruins if this CMOS stuff wasn't available to use. I use it for every set pretty much, and I know most other users who use models do as well. It's dead cheap and you get a lot of it, it fills the scene quickly. I wouldn't really use it on a proper layout, but to throw it in a set like this, which is only going to be up for a couple of days, pretty useful. I've tried to change the trees up I use in each set as well, because I've got enough to be able to sort of change around now. So we've got these sort of like taller, I don't know what these kind of trees are, but I've been using sort of these apple kind of trees before, so yeah, the higher up we go in the mountain, I just want to show like the geology is changing. And we've got this lovely signal box, which was probably the first prop I bought for this whole series, whole Skarloey thing. This is made by Stephen Garcia, and very grateful for that. This was a few years ago, and it was always eventually going to end up here.
Some of the complex themes that Nathan, Nattles or Poggle composed were a hit from their first draft, and others were made after the first episode to evaluate what had worked. He would send me the bigger pieces to block out, and then I'd send back some notes for the smaller cues. In some cases, I'd crudely edit something along the lines of what I'm thinking to be used as rough guidance, like this one bit from the song Sunny Side of the Street.
Whose idea was it to build a cafe in a tiny railway coach anyway? Health and safety nightmare.
The perfectionist that he is, Nathan goes and follows the notes to a T. I'd go and ruin it all by not following his notes on where to put each theme, mix and matching them if I thought they suited better somewhere else. Sorry, really messed up the running order there. There are so many fun references to pick up on, like Dirty Work by Steely Dan, Rocket Man by Elton John, and of course, Railway with a Heart of Gold. This guy loves the Heart of Gold theme, I can't stop him! The bass track is laid down first to settle the timing, then overlaid several times on piano. It is very important to appreciate that all of the music is performed live. There's no programming, and I am thrilled with how it all comes together. My personal favourite piece for this episode is Sir Handel's frantic down journey. Listen carefully, and Nathan's included chords flying about to represent how Sir Handel has abruptly woken up, and knocking sounds to match what's happening on screen, alternating to allow for the dialogue. The music had to do the talking for this shot. was difficult mainly because Sir Handel decided to do some method acting and played up on set, even for the most simple of tasks. I had wanted the shot of him running around the train to all be one shot, but he said no. Fortunately, I did take shots of all of the engine's whistles at different angles, so they could be used for close-ups. As I would for stop-motion animations, I had the camera on a shutter release remote to capture the highest quality and depth of field without any movement. Considering how tiny the models are, the photos do blow up quite well. In editing, something to differentiate Sir Handel from the others is his chime whistle, blowing steam in 3 directions. This is something that Sir Hayden, and sometimes Douglas, do in real life. The crash was fun to film, though the truck is very clearly pulled along with string. The tiny little expressions made for them make such a difference though. This sequence would be lifeless if it was just a normal faceless truck. There are a couple of continuity flaws in this episode. The most difficult one to manage when filming was the wedding train. Like in the Flower Engine, I knew I wanted to dress up the train and bring out the Mid-Sodor Saloon just for this scene. But the flowers and the ribbons were very tedious. It flows quickly on screen, but in reality each set had every scene filmed on it in one go, before that was taken down for the next location to be built. Skarloey and Rheneas were needed without their floral decorations in other shots, and then they had to be put back together. I've actually filmed the wedding train and several others going across every set in Clever Little Engine, so subscribe to see even more narrow gauge videos after the stories are released. Similarly, there is a lengthy blooper reel available only to my channel patrons on Patreon.
Out of the way, peasants! Poor Fred.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
So do follow me there to see each new video a week before they go public. We've seen Ivo interact with the old engines. We've seen him work with the besties.
He's my best friend. We're besties.
Now in the next episode we'll see how he gets on with fellow Andrew Barclay boy Duncan. Thank you to everyone who enjoyed Tight Schedule and to everyone who made it happen. We are halfway through this batch of episodes already. Time flies when you change the timetable.
I want to keep that in. Poor Blockman.
Many thanks to my brilliant channel patrons: Alex Goodman, GBH Train, D0280 Falcon, Sean Tempest, Random Thomas Fan, Dark White 73, Andrew Dyack, Reese Lee Walter, Ryan RTS, Ewan Pentland, Jude 72, and Steam Power 4472.